Hello, friends. I wanted to bring a message today because I've been living in reality for a bit. I've made some changes. I've completely blocked the entire internet for myself except a list of like 32 websites on all of my computers, my phone, everything as an experiment to see how living real life feels. I don't have any social media apps on my phone or my computers. They're blocked, right? And life feels much like it did when I was very young and when I was just graduating high school and I was a bit more naive and I was just more active in the world. And I think what's happened to culture, a lot of things, obviously, culture is moving in an extremely fast and negative direction. If you just log on social media for a few seconds, it's not because the algorithms have got good. They're good. It's also because reality itself is moving in a darker and more chaotic fringe direction. And we got here very quickly. Why? How can we stop this? How can we stop our own lives from being a little bit more negative, being a little bit more cynical, being a little bit more dark and a little more hopeless, or whatever you might see as a trend line over your last 20 years, 30 years of living. And my best years in my life that I felt the most alive, not exactly the most full and whole and connected and fulfilled and all that, but the times I had the most energy and felt the most alive and in the moment, present, this was 2010 and 2011. Mostly the year of 2010. What happened in that time that caused my shift to change and all of my friends to also shift in some strange ways over time? And if you're younger than me, I'm 31, you've been born into this. And what occurred is the internet was, and social media on our phone is now used all the time. See, in 2010, 2011, we didn't have 3G yet, or at least it wasn't on any of my friends' phones yet. We didn't have the iPhone 3GS, or 3G, whatever, which allowed us to scroll on social media while sitting there. We were on the boats, we were at parties, we were playing outside, we were riding bicycles, we were wakeboarding, we were doing all of these things all the time and living life. And none of us were sitting there on our phones. At parties, you would have kids that would log on to Facebook on a computer if they needed to message a friend or they lost their phone or their phone died kind of thing, right? And you'd have Facebook back then was used as a chat. You just connected to friends and you did that to ask them to hang out. There wasn't this like chit chat back and forth bullshit. There was, but the end goal was, hey, what are you doing tonight? What are you up to? When can we hang out? Let's do something. But now people are becoming more and more reclusive, more disconnected as we connect into this Ready Player One insane bubble that keeps us in this little narcissistic, little self-absorbed, tiny, shallow bubble inside our devices, inside our phones, right? Now, that's not to say that these have become incredibly useful. I mean, I've built my business with one of these, right? But that's just because I could use it to text, email, and talk on the phone and do spreadsheet stuff and use a calculator on the thing. That wasn't because I didn't build my business using social media. That's extremely rare to do, and that doesn't necessarily require a mobile phone. Anyways, I digress. So what's happened? Facebook didn't allow an image to be uploaded because you just couldn't. Our data speeds couldn't allow it and their apps didn't allow it until about 2012, I believe is the date. And then after that, social media became hyper competitive because now we were texting pictures of we were uploading pictures of what we're doing, what we look like, who our friends are, where we are to social media. That just happened. And 10 years into the future, here we are, plugged in, uploading, consuming. What is it? A total comparison game. living out other people's lives as we sit immobile in our own life. Or we might be at a concert, and what do we do when things get a little boring, or we're in the elevator or we're on the escalator? Instead of striking up a conversation with that random person next to you, which happened in every other time period of all of human history, maybe making new friends, on a weekly, monthly basis. Who knows? At least having a new connection, having a conversation, that's not happening near as much anymore. So how does that affect us? We become more unhappy, more lonely, more unplugged, more dissatisfied, more feeling hopeless, more losing faith in our own futures, because the bar is so high for physical attractiveness, for lifestyle, for fun. I mean, you're watching on TikTok guys flying around with backpacks, and you're sitting there in a little, 4-bedroom apartment with 5 roommates, and a dog you can barely pay for food for, but you're on this thing 6 hours a night, every night, 7 days a week. It all adds up throughout the day. Every time you go piss, what do? Grab your fucking phone, right? Why? So, well, the why is easy. It's the most amazing, addictive thing on the planet. Just because it feels amazing in the moment doesn't mean it's good for us long term. So, what I do to stay extremely productive and in reality and feel a lot more focused and present and a lot more engaged right now and a lot more alive and confident and all these things, I've blocked the internet for myself. I've done lots of experiments like this in the past, and I've got more ruthless and more cutthroat with it over time. Texting, I don't have it until 1:30 to 9 p.m. If someone wants something, or if there's an emergency, or if someone wants to talk business, they can call me. Talking on the phone, that's human interaction. It's not near as good as in person. There's not that as much as an energy transference there. You're not learning as much about conversational ability, about body language, naturally on the phone, but it's 10,000 times better than just texting to each other. So if you think about texting for a moment, it's like this big online chat room, just AIM, boom, 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 all instant messages, other people's nonsense all the time. Entertain, have fun, share. It's good, yes, but there's way better ways to do reality. All of the happiest people in our planet's history weren't right now. We like to look at the past and think like, oh God, their lives must have been so awful and horrible. They were tougher. There was different levels of sorrow, different types of sorrow, rather, different categories. People had major health problems, but like I've said on certain videos and other videos, happiness comes from trading your expectations for appreciation. And you can't appreciate unless you're taking it in, unless you're present, unless you're actively appreciating life itself in your current moment, not through a screen, not living out someone else's life and just being blindly entertained all day, which many of us do. It's living in reality. And that's what life is. Because what is life beyond living? Living in reality. So if you want to do this and take a jump, see how life works out. I know everyone has other, I had a million excuses for years. I need texting. I'm going to lose deals. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But I could get a second work phone for $20, $30 a month. I could, many people do many things. So you have to structure your life in a way that's going to design you a better life. How you get the good life is by controlling your environment, right? So I want a better life. I want the best life I've ever lived. I'm coming into my 30s, and I want my 30s to be way fucking better than any of my 20s, and definitely better than my 10s or my zeros, I guess you could say, right? So I have to control the negative parts of my environment in order to allow for positive moments in my environment to occur. Because It's like if you have a house, right? Well, I hope you have a house or a place to live is what I mean. You got a pantry. Fill it with junk food, the whole thing. What are you going to grab and go in the fridge too? Fill the fridge with junk food. What's going to happen when you come home and you open the cabinet, you open the fridge? You are just going to grab the junk food, and that's going to make you feel bad afterwards. Going to bring down your energy a little bit. Definitely long term, it's going to compound. You're going to look worse as a person. You're going to feel worse. Your health's going to decline slowly instead of improving over time, which it should. Your immune system should become more strong as you get older. I mean, kids are sick all the time. My parents, they're never sick. Why? Because they eat extremely healthy and they live healthy lives, and they never let themselves get addicted to this stuff like me and all my other siblings and everyone I know did, because we're in that new younger generation, right? Some parents right now are completely addicted to this stuff, and it's awful. Sets a really bad example, and many people, of course, live out unhappy lives in front of the TV. But if you came home and instead you had no junk food, you just didn't have the option, what would you do instead? You would automatically grab the healthy food, or maybe you wouldn't eat as much, right? That's kind of how the phone is. A lot of people think like, oh, my friends are online. They're on Discord. I can't leave the Xbox. Like I talk to these people. Yeah, but imagine what the other side of that could be like. What happens when you restrict something? Because if you want to live a good life, you're going to have to transform your life to get there, right? If you want to live a better life, rather, or you have a bad life, you want a good life, it's a transformation. You can't transform unless you cut things off. So my transformations that have occurred multiple times in my life all started with blocking people that I knew were holding me back in my phone and on my social media. And now I've got to a point where I can block my whole social media. I'm not going to post this video. This is going to be scheduled by my team. People barely make money online. It's extremely difficult and rare to make money online. I'm doing this because I want to help the world and help people. I'm not making any money on this besides like little consultant deals left and right, but it's like 1% of all of my income, stream revenues, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing this because I didn't see a way out when I was young. I didn't see a way out of my addictions. I didn't know they were bad. I just sat on my couch every day for years and years and years after work or after whatever, or in the mornings, scrolling my life away on Instagram, not knowing that if it's removed, if you unplug the TV and hide the cable in your truck or your car, what kind of life could unfold instead? Because that's what happened in the past. We were on TV, we were on phones, we were on computers. So what would you do? Neighbors would knock on each other's doors and meet each other and hang out, grill, go do fun things, go enjoy reality and build lives together, connect. That's what we're all doing this for anyways. Why do you get on TikTok? Why are people talking the most exciting videos? Because we want to connect. We want to feel other human beings and feel their emotions. Why do we watch TV? To watch other people, to live vicariously through their interactions, because we aren't living our own many times. It satisfies that social urge to get out there into the world just enough. So we never actually get friends. So we never actually build healthy relationships or change into better relationships, or to really engage in our current relationships. If we don't hang out and we don't talk together, we just come home and watch the TV and, look at each other, sleep together, and go to bed. If you're in a relationship, right? It's not healthy. It's not healthy. So that's what I've been up to. I've been living in reality, and I can tell you there is real hope on the other side of these addictions. I know I mentioned earlier that I would help you figure out how to do this. So depending on how your life is structured and your actual needs, your requirements, Like I need my cell phone text on all the time for work. Maybe get a work phone. Maybe this is what I do. There's this little thing in the iPhone settings. I'm sure Android has something called screen time, right? Tracks how many hours you use. It's fucking frightening if you think about it. Some people, it's like 40, 50, 60 hours a week. What could you do with your life? How much money could you make? How much better could you become? Skills and knowledge and experience and adventures and vacations you could take in all of that time. It's insane. So use the screen time little thing on the app. Go into, you see where it says downtime, app limits, always allowed, content privacy restrictions. Go through those settings, mess with them, and get it to a point where this will be better for you. Maybe you shouldn't be on social media, or maybe all your apps should just close out after 9 p.m. except for certain apps. So what I do is my always allowed apps are like Google Maps, Google Calendar, phone, Gmail. I do like having Gmail at all times, even though it's a little distraction. I'm not very, it's nothing like texting, right? Maybe your hotel apps, your travel apps, things like that. Block those after 9 p.m. And then what you do is you have a friend or a trusted person that set the passcode to this. And so you can't even, there's no way for me to get past the locks on my phone, by the way. That's what I'm talking about by using this screen time passcode type stuff. You have a friend do it, assistant, someone at work, someone that you know where they live, they're close to you, right? And make sure they remember the code. Have them put it in their iPhone notes somewhere, write it down and save it safe. That's the key that unlocks the good life. Because when you die, you're not going to sit there and think about, man, I wish I spent more time on Instagram. I really wish I did. Those are some of the best memories I ever had in my life. That was the adventure. I loved that place. I loved those people I saw on that app. God, to go back. That will never happen. Never. Not for one human being in the world. Anyone that thinks about social media for 2 seconds knows it is a net negative for all of society. You cannot argue that social media is 51% positive for humanity. If you think through it all the way, if you get your own bullshit out of your mind, you think objectively about the entire globe and all human civilization. Is this good? No. We fucking know it's not good. We know it keeps us back. We know it keeps us closed off in little bubbles everywhere we are. In the car, in the elevator, on the escalator, in the store, on the couch, in the bed, in the morning, late at night. We are slaves to this shit. And that's what it is. Swipe shit. Swipe shit. Entertain, cool, laugh. It's fun in the moment. But what would your life look like if none of it was there? What would you end up doing naturally? Just like if you had no junk food in the house, you would eat good food. If you had no meaningless distractions, maybe you'd find some more healthier distractions. Maybe you'd start a new sport. Maybe you'd get healthy. Maybe you'd join an organization. Maybe you'd stroll downtown in your city and start striking up conversations with people because you're craving that human connection. Maybe you'd find some new friends. Maybe you'd call that person that you work with and start having good conversations and replace your time on social media with real human conversation. All these things is what I've found myself doing. And humans only do what we have to do. Humans always do whatever is easiest, whatever we feel we have to do. So if you have nothing to do, if you're in your house and there's no distraction, there's no console, there's no TV, there's no iPhone, what do you end up doing? You end up living. The happiest people that I know are over 40 years old. They're not these 19-year-olds. at all. They're not the 30-year-olds. My happiest friends, they're in their 40s. Why? What the fuck? Is it because they have money? No, it's because they're living life. My favorite times of my life weren't when I had money. They were when I was living. I was in the moment. I was with good friends. We were going on some weird new adventure each day. That's what life can be like. Connection. That's what we all want in life. That's why we all do what we do. Why do we get money? We want the house. Well, yes, you want to survive. That's, of course, bottom line. But what happens when you're surviving? You got your bills paid. Why do you want more money? To do things that make you feel alive, to make you feel connected, to buy a house, to buy clothes, to buy better makeup. Why? To feel more connected, to feel more things. So that's all I got for today. A big old rant on how this thing destroys us and how before 2012, when we started consuming on these things all the time, when 3G came out, now it's 4G and 5G, life was so much better for all of us on a general perspective. Individuals change and they go through bouts of depression and happiness and sadness and yada yada. But culture was happier and more connected before this. How do we fix this? Unplug from the matrix. That's what I'll leave you with. Have a good day. Talk soon.